Fabulous e-chapter meeting. I am so glad to be with you all today. I see people are coming from all over the place. I see Arizona, I see Pennsylvania, I see North Carolina, I even see Alaska and Wyoming. This is how we do it here at the e-chapter. I know I sound like a broken record, but once again, our e-chapter just keeps growing and growing. We started 2017 with more than 23,000 e-chapter members. And now we have over, get this ladies, 30,000 e-chapter members. It is by far our most successful member appreciated networking benefit. And I think that is pretty amazing. So bravo to us. I am absolutely thrilled to witness the explosive growth of this exciting initiative. And I thank each and every one of you for making our bi-weekly virtual meetings engaging, heartfelt, and inspiring. The NAPW e-chapter is networking at its best. And for busy professional women on the go, it really does provide access to your network from wherever you are. So I always like to use myself as an example. In fact, you know, last year I hosted e-chapter from multiple places while meeting all kinds of people all over the country and all over the world, in fact. In 2016, nothing stopped me from stronger. In 2017 has been even better. I am actually here in our New York NAPW offices. I'm here to conduct our fall team leader meetings, and I really wasn't even sure I was going to make it to our e-chapter today. I just came back from taking my little precious puppy, Pinky, to the emergency room because we think she's got some kind of infection. She's 13 years old, so you know, oh my God, I love my four-legged baby like she's my child. So you know, I freaked out. We working women, we have to multitask. We have to get it all done. We're not superwoman, but we certainly do try, you know? So in the last hour, I'll share with you, I took Pinky to the hospital. I consulted with a new doctor because this is not where we normally go to the hospital. We got our x-rays done. I had to leave her there so that they can make sure they're giving her the right medication for the next 3 hours. I then ordered and picked up lunch for my team here and made it back in time to begin the e-chapter. You want to know why? Because today we're going to discuss one of my very favorite topics, and I wasn't going to miss it: embracing change. Whew. Now, you know I have personally worn and continue to wear many hats. I completely disagree with the notion that women can't have it all or must dedicate their lives to using only one talent or skill. You can have it all, you just can't have it all at the same time. You know how I feel about that. But when you're talented and creative, as I know many of you are, limiting yourself and your career is not only challenging, it's simply unwise and can cause you to feel anxious and unfulfilled. Change is good, and yes, it can be scary, but it is also very necessary. So, how do you determine when it's time to close one door and open another? It's time for my tips. Here are my 5 signs change is on the horizon. You're going to want to take notes. Number 1, you no longer feel financially secure. That's a big one. Our lives are constantly changing, and what might have been a good financial fit before may feel like a bit of a financial strain now. If you don't feel like you can adequately provide for your family, or it seems that financial independence is just a dream, then it may be time to consider what skills and talents you have and evaluate where you are using them. As professional women, we are not only selling ourselves short if we are surviving versus thriving due to our financial circumstances, but we are limiting the possibilities. Here's number 2. You're bored. Okay. When you do what you love, that passion should make you excited to work. If you no longer feel challenged, or you feel that your day-to-day tasks are always mediocre and mundane, this is the ultimate red flag that a change of pace or space is very much needed. Okay? Let's do number 3. Opportunity knocks. Don't I know it? We all know the value of keeping our network strong. When your network is strong, it is not hard for others to see your worth. Talented people draw people to them. When you find yourself tempted with interesting offers and opportunities, do not resist and embrace the change. Number 4, you are unfulfilled. Okay, I know we are all businesswomen taught to follow facts and figures, but sometimes, many times, You just have to follow your gut. If your intuition is telling you that you can achieve more in life and that you are holding back, then guess what? Listen to it. You know those flashing lights you see when there's a man that you should stay away from, and we often don't pay attention to him? This is the time that flashing light is telling you something that you absolutely need to pay attention to. Take care of yourself. Number 5, you are continuously stressed. Well, aren't we all? As a heart disease survivor, stress is I just can't tolerate. We know that heart disease is the #1 killer of women. Stress creates physical and emotional trauma to your body, and there is absolutely no career or life path worth risking your health over. If your career path has proven to be more stressful than rewarding, a good change may be your ticket to living passionately and purposefully. Ladies, this is what has worked for me for over 20 years, and I have embraced change, as you all well know. I have never been nervous and second-guessed myself, so trust me, you are not alone if you feel a mix of emotions. But I overcame any hesitation by trusting my intuition, believing in my talents, and surrounding myself with a network of successful people who I trusted and knew had the best intentions for me. I really hope today's e-chapter encourages you to embrace change and to seek the very best life for yourself. You deserve this. You're worth it. And you're in good hands today. You'll be hearing from a psychologist, CEO, and a life coach, and they are the very best at what they do, and they are ready to pour into you today. So I hope you're excited. Please enjoy today's e-chapter meeting, and may you be inspired and ready to live your very best life. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon, ladies, and I'll tell you how Pinky's doing. Thank you. Louise?
Thank you, Star, and welcome everyone. Our live e-chapters are held once a month, and our replays held bi-weekly, either at noon or 4 p.m. Eastern. So you can come back, listen again, and live network with new attendees from around the country. E-chapter has taken the stage, not only fostering real-time networking, but has also developed into offline, in-person connections and business contacts. We also hope you're taking advantage of another extremely popular NAPW online event, e-coaching, which offers exclusive coaching on relevant topics from an NAPW expert and even more networking opportunities. Please look out for the invites and promotions via email, on social media, and on our website, napw.com. We encourage you to carve out the time and keep coming back to our online events because of its ease and ability to network from your office, while on the road, and even from the comfort of your own home. In the chat room with you today are some additional corporate moderators to assist you or just chat with you along the way. They are Samantha Picorni, Program and Engagement Manager, who'll do her best to offer technical support if needed. Our local chapter representatives, Alyssa Ramos, Miami Chapter President and Eastern Regional Manager, Natalie Fikes, Atlanta Chapter President and Central Regional Manager, and Ruth Garcia, Los Angeles Chapter President and Western Regional Manager, are available to answer any local chapter related questions you may have. During our panel discussion today, you will see several times a poll pop up on your screen during our discussion, so please take a minute to answer the questions as we will share your input. It's time now to introduce you to our NAPW panel that'll be sharing their insights on our topic for today, embracing change and staying nimble, key steps for charting your own course. So for our first panelist, I'd like to introduce Dr. Carida Lugo, founder and life coach, Styling for Your Life. Dr. Lugo has a doctorate of education and innovative leadership from Wilmington University and a master's in social work from Westchester University in Pennsylvania. She is skilled in guiding individuals on how to become their ideal self through the utilization of strategic planning, group facilitation, program and organizational development, training, and team building. Her objective is to maintain a career within the educational system and to work with diverse populations, connecting them to resources. Our next panelist I'd like to welcome is Kelly Cavan, CEO and founder of Kelly Cavan Consulting, who has a BSN in nursing from Millikan University, an MA in community counseling from Argosy University, and an MBA from Chadwick University. She specializes in being an accountability coach to assist people in achieving the life that they choose. She also sits on the board of the NAPW Philadelphia chapter as the VIP event coordinator. Last but not least, I also welcome Christina Hallett, who has a PhD in clinical psychology from the University of Massachusetts Amherst. Also a board-certified clinical psychologist, associate professor of psychology, executive coach, speaker, and author. She is the author of the international bestseller, Own Best Friend, 8 Steps to a Life of Purpose, Passion, and Ease. Thank you, ladies, for taking the time today to be our eChapter panelists. I'd like to open up our conversation with a short clip by Mel Robbins, a CNN commentator, television host, life coach, motivational speaker, and an author of the book, The 5-Second Rule.
You accept the fact that you may never feel ready and you may never feel motivated, and that's okay, but you can still push yourself forward. What happens over time is as you start to see yourself becoming the person that takes action, and the kind of person that speaks even though your voice is shaking, guess what happens? You build the skill of confidence and courage.
So Mel Robbins teaches us how to enrich our lives and destroy doubt, become confident, break the habit of procrastination and self-doubt, beat fear and uncertainty, and share ideas with courage. So what does it take to set off in the right direction when you're considering making a career change? And once you actually make that transition, how do you keep your self-confidence and strength to persevere on your new career path? So with that, let's start off talking about self-confidence, strength, and perseverance. Explain, ladies, how daily affirmations can go a long way in helping us with transition. And we'll start with Karida.
Hello, everyone. It's an honor to be here. And just to start with the first question, daily affirmations for me help to reframe your mindset. Early in the morning, every morning, I say 3 things that I'm grateful for. I use that as my affirmation every day. It helps me look for the positivity throughout the day, focus on the positivity throughout the day. And I noticed that because I'm looking for things that I'm grateful for each day, that that positivity is also gravitating towards me. People are asking me, why are you so happy? Why are you so cheerful each day? It's because I'm focused on my daily affirmations, looking for my through my gratefulness throughout the day, and that I can be able to say that these 3 things have reframed my mind, put me in a positive mindset, and allow for me to focus on those throughout the day when there's so many things to be negative about.
Karida, thank you. Well, they always say that we shouldn't look elsewhere to be happy, that we have to look at ourselves and be happy within. So Christina, as the psychologist, maybe you have some thoughts on this.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for having me as part of the panel. I'm thrilled to be joining you all today. Affirmations are a way to really focus where we're going and who we are. And one of the key things, particularly as women, that we need is we need to treat ourselves well. And often the self-talk that goes on inside of our head isn't as kind and as compassionate as it could be. If we work to really treat ourselves as our own best friend and keep ourselves on track using a mental tone and words that have us following the path that we want to follow, then we're going to be a lot more effective in what we do. We're also going to feel a lot better. And truthfully, this is a skill. It's a skill that we all have the opportunity to develop. And one of the things that you can do easily is when you notice that you're starting to think something that isn't in your best interest, that's a time to pull up one of those affirmations that we're referencing or that Karita talked about and repeat that to yourself. And as you do, your focus and your brain will rewire so that you'll have a more positive outlook overall.
Christina, thank you. You see on the right there of the PowerPoint that we put a poll up, and we asked our attendees if they find themselves lacking in self-affirmation. And 44% says sometimes. So we know that that when we're having a hard time, we can really beat ourselves up, and we have to manage that space and get out of our own heads, right? And meditation, chanting, yoga, all those wonderful things to kind of keep ourselves centered are often a good way to go. Kelly, would you like to chime in here with your thoughts? Oh, Kelly, we lost you. There she goes. She's coming back. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Louise, and thank you for having me as the participant in the panel today. I agree with my colleagues on the panel is that affirmations are critically important as we're looking to make changes in our lives, whether it be incremental changes on a daily basis or big life career changes going forward. And I'll actually just talk to turning around those negative thoughts, because we all are good at being able to come up with the negative much quicker than the positive things. And so my recommendation is that we always, whenever those negative things are coming into your mind, is that either using those affirmations that you start your day out with that are positive to basically bring you back to center and be positive, or develop the skill of turning around those negative thoughts to the positive. And those help you to keep your direction and help you to achieve the goals that you set for yourself through those affirmations.
Kelly, I mean, do you have some daily tips on how to maybe start a day to focus on the affirmations and not go to maybe the place of a bad day the day before? And so how to start that new day in a fresh way, positive way?
Yeah, no, I definitely believe to start your day with affirmations. For me, it really sets the tone of my day. And I highly recommend that. And there are a lot of places to get those affirmations. There's various websites that you can find them to, basically start your day out with. And and I think, we should start every day out on that positive note. And so I highly recommend affirmations to help you get the accomplishments that you want to achieve on a daily basis.
Thank you, Kelly. If we go to our next question, in preparation for change, being out there and networking is incredibly valuable. But how do we network with intention? Christina, that's you.
Just turning that audio on. Networking with intention means going in my view, with a plan of how you can be of service to others. If you are willing to add phenomenal value to other people and you freely give that, looking for how you can assist them or what you can give to them, that's going to make a big difference. People are much more receptive, right? If you approach someone and say, hey, I'd like to give this to you, or I'd like to help you, that's a very different approach than, hey, what can you do for me? Now, as we develop a networking relationship, literally, it's a relationship. It becomes a give and take. So in many ways, the more that you give away, the more that you're going to end up receiving. And so approaching networking from that perspective makes a lot of sense. The other thing I just want to throw in is that we haven't necessarily been trained to the game of networking, right? I mean, for years, for centuries, we've had sort of mothers groups or connections among people. But in the business world, mentoring and networking for so long was the province of men. And so as women sort of coming a little bit late to the game, I think we need to bring our best skills to that. And our skills are in relationship making. So a network is not just a quid pro quo, but it's how can I establish a relationship with someone else while giving them the best that I have to offer. And as we share that value, we all grow.
Thanks, Christina. Kelly, preparing to network and thinking about goals. And by the way, for all the attendees, there is another poll there for you to answer. And we'd love to hear your thoughts on this as you go to networking events prepared with goals in mind. So we talk about goals and we talk about understanding, what we're trying to achieve going to this event. I mean, Christina completely understand how we should present ourselves in the room. We should definitely be seen as givers and not takers, and how can we help you, and all those cues to get people to want to talk to you. But on the back end, the planning about what you're trying to achieve in that room that night, what are the takeaways? How would you go about it? Kelly?
Well, I think for networking, to me, networking means building relationships. And so not to set ourselves up, to be disappointed at the end of a networking event. It's all about meeting people, starting to establish that relationship so that, as you encounter those individuals time after time, they're feeling more comfortable with you. If your goal is to change career directions or to get hired with a certain organization, or even building your own business and starting to network to build customer prospects, you need to develop a relationship with those individuals first. And as Christine was saying, is provide value to the group, but really opening yourself up for people to get to know you and for you to get to know them. Because as we develop relationships, we're more apt to help individuals going forward. And so my recommendation is, as we go into networking events, and I would say this is something that not everybody's good at, joining groups to do that. I see NAPW as being one of those great groups that allow women to do that networking with one another from different backgrounds, and so you get to know one another. But it is all about developing a relationship so that you can start to achieve the goals that you've set out for networking, and that's to build your network, to expand your horizons, and to get to know others that you can learn from.
And Kelly, I mean, and managing that network, right? I mean, you're meeting so many different types of people and understanding where those people fit into your life. Obviously, we always talk about the elevator pitch as well, sort of making sure that you practice that so that you can present quickly and who you are and maybe your market value, whatever you're trying to achieve in that space. I mean, one of our attendees I see in the chat room says that she's great at networking, but she's not good at actually building business from it. So there is a difference. Karida, I don't know if you want to talk to that a little bit.
I think it's important for us to realize that networking with intention is not selfish. I think a lot of the times we feel like, oh my gosh, it's very cold, but it's not. It's going in with a plan is strategic and smart. So I think that first get that out of your mind. I know we go in with a lot of anxiety sometimes when we network. What am I going to say? They ask me about my website. It's not complete yet. So first, remember that it's not a selfish thing to talk about yourself, talk about areas that you need to develop in, and look for where there is a space for collaboration. Where can you collaborate? Where is there some intersectionality in both of the having a dialogue in the conversation? Also, it's an opportunity to fine tune your marketability, use a soundboard. So there's multiple ways that we can network. Practice that elevator speech, when you're talking to someone in the room. You might not have much to say, but they can help guide you. We get ideas. Ideas spring up through conversation. So I think that networking is something that is very, very important. But there's multiple things that you can get from networking, not just connecting with someone for a particular reason, a business opportunity, but for development for self.
Great comments. I think you're absolutely right. It's opportunity to actually practice. It doesn't mean you have to be perfect when you walk in the room. You can make mistakes, learn from them. And being in the space, the more often you're in that space, then the better you're going to get at it. So we asked the attendees, do you show up to networking events prepared with goals in mind? So 15% said they always assess and plan. 23% say they just show up and see what happens. And 10% say they don't network. Well, I'm sorry to tell you, ladies, that the 10% say they don't network, you're actually networking right now. You're here in each chapter at our networking event. So I think it's just, the whole word can put people off. It sounds like work. But it can be net fun, and you can kind of go in there and experiment with yourself a little bit and try different ways of approaching things and see what works. So for our next question, talking about curiosity and passions, especially as we go through transition, keeping our minds open, keeping ourselves developing. I mean, how imperative is it that we stay curious and develop other passions outside of work, especially in the process of going, in our lives and making changes, career changes, or whatever it is. Christina.
It's vital that we have life outside of work. And so often we can fall into that place where we're feeling as if our life is defined by work. But in truth, your worth has nothing to do with the hours that you work or the salary that you make or where it is that you work. And work is usually pretty important and it's a big part of our lives. And it's usually how we make money. So that helps us to both survive and thrive, as Star said. But we need to allow ourselves to be multifaceted. The whole reason that our bodies need to sleep is so they can rest and rejuvenate. And we need to do the same thing during our awake hours. If all we have is work, we're not letting ourselves rest and rejuvenate and grow. We end up sort of having blinders. And so the more that we can figure out what our passions are, bring in creativity, and really allow ourselves to have a balance, which often means setting some priorities and some boundaries on our work life. As we have those different elements, we become a much more multifaceted person and we end up being a lot more effective at work, which is pretty awesome. So actually engaging in your passions and activities that you enjoy outside of work not only refreshes and recharges you, but makes you even better during the time that you are at work. The one particular tip that I would give is find that activity or those activities that really make your heart sing. The kind of thing where you're caught up in flow. And flow is when you're not self-conscious and you lose track of time and you're just in the moment and truly, truly enjoying and appreciating what you're doing. That could be kayaking, it could be playing the piano, it could be going for a walk, it could be whatever it is. Cooking, that's not for me, but it could be cooking, whatever that is that allows you to literally lose track of everything but mindfully being in the moment. That will give you the greatest amount of recharge and let you do the very best you can at your job.
Christina, I actually heard on the radio this morning when I was driving to work that people who go to concerts are actually meant to be the happiest of people. The people that actually go listen to music makes for great happiness. So I think definitely got to go do more. Love going to concerts. So Karita, what do you have to say about this?
Remember before you were that it girl at work that you had a life. So don't forget that. It's very, very important that you continue to work on your identity outside of your work identity. Ask yourself, who are you? Who are you outside of work? A lot of times when we meet somebody, we begin to describe who we are at work. I work at such and such. I do this at such and such. But who are you? Really sit down and ask yourself these questions. And it's imperative that you are curious about yourself. Now, also remember that your likes can change. You don't have to be committed to what you liked in second grade. Um, like I say all the time, new kids on the block and friendship bracelets. You know, as I develop, my likes change, but I have to foster that. I have to nourish that. I have to work on that. And you have to dedicate time, just like you dedicate time to work, to dedicate time to yourself. And you can do so by trying new things. Create a do it now list, not a bucket list. We don't want to wait until we are on our sick bed to try something new. Try it now. Just do, like Nike says, just do it and go out and experience stuff. Ask yourself, why haven't you did some of those things? I asked myself recently. I was at a fair, and they had a karate stand, and I always wanted to do karate when I was younger, and I never did it. And I had to ask myself, why? Like, I'm an adult now. I have some time. Let's sign up. So I signed up for karate. So try to do some of those things that you never did before, or you told yourself you didn't have time, and experience them. Foster those qualities and things that you want to do outside of work. Work on your outside work identity. Ask yourself, who is that person, and how can I help that person have fun?
Thanks, Karita. You see there on the right, we did our poll again, and we asked everyone if they found time to explore their passions and also find new ones. 14% said they always make the time, but 20% said they find it difficult to make the time. Kelly, making the time for this, the space in the day, finding the importance, just the same importance as getting up and being on time for work and doing what your job requires or looking after your children. How do we make the space for this and put it in our day?
Well, I truly believe we were all designed to have active, vibrant lives, and active, vibrant lives are defined differently for each of us. And I think that, we do need to make it a priority. One of the things that I've done in the past, because at one point in my life, I was, bringing home the bacon as well as, being a single mom to 3 kids, and there wasn't much time for me. So I had to make a date with myself and making sure that I had time in my day to pursue my passions. And, whether that's scheduling a babysitter to come and take care of the kids so you can go do what you would like to do for the day, or even just treating yourself to time for a manicure and having just some time to have peace and quiet. We all need that in our lives, and we need to make sure that that's a priority. So I think that we need to make sure that we schedule that time, and then take the opportunity when you can be spontaneous to also do some of those things. So for me, my spontaneity is that when I have the time, I'll just go out and play in the garden, and it's relaxing to me. It gives me kind of centers me and allows me to have time to myself. So I would recommend scheduling it if you can't find the time. As 20% are saying that they have a difficult time doing.
Thanks, Kelly. I mean, I think, as we're discovering our passions, the important thing, and we'll talk more about being rewarded and fulfilled in our lives in a minute, but I think that through searching and finding passions, we find actually opportunities, new opportunities. I mean, I've met many women, for example, a woman that was a top lawyer for a corporate firm and made jam on the side, had a passion for jam, and actually left being a lawyer and now makes and sells jams and loves it. So, Christina, just to wrap up this question, any more thoughts on that? On really that to kind of, as you're pursuing passions, that these are actually could be your next opportunity?
They really can. And oftentimes we get so targeted on a particular plan or goals that we've set up that we don't realize, or we're not fully allowing ourselves to be curious about what else really gets ourselves. And I noticed in the chat that there were a few people who were talking about guilt in terms of exploring their passions. So I wanted to say something about that. When we really take time to do the things that we love, that's actually the very best form of self-care, caring for ourselves, right? That's really what self-care means. And if we're our best self, then we have that much more to offer those around us, our family, our friends, our community, and the world. So literally, if you think about it, by making sure that we're fully exploring who we are and being curious and allowing ourselves to take the risk of pursuing what our passions might be and defining them. And they do change over time, right? As Karita mentioned, we're not the same from when we're child to when we're now. So allowing that to be, that is actually benefiting those around us the most.
So, Christina, just to keep with you a minute longer, having fun, feeling fulfilled and rewarded in your life is certainly in your career can be a challenge, and it's not always the case. Fulfillment comes in all kinds of ways. We're touching on, those things, going out, pursuing other passions. Share with us, though, how to discover those rewards and use them as motivational drivers.
Well, the very first thing that I would say is that I am a fan of fun. I think that the best use we can have of our time is to fully enjoy what we're doing. And that also means, just related to that guilt piece from before, to really let ourselves do what it is that we're doing. So if what we say is, hey, I really want to spend some time in the garden, don't spend your time in the garden thinking about all of the other things that you believe that you should be doing. Take the time in the garden and really let that be an enjoyable experience. As you're doing that, you'll get a reward. You'll get the reward emotionally. And what's going to go on in your brain is that your brain is going to be letting dopamine come out. And dopamine is what allows you to feel good. What's super cool about this is that as you decide, I'm going to go garden, and then you let yourself do it, and you're fully in the moment, you're in flow, and you do that without spending all of the time thinking what else I should be doing, you get more dopamine produced. And that means not only do you feel better, but the very next time that you go to do that same activity, you're going to get an anticipatory release of dopamine because your brain already knows, hey, I like it when I plan to do that. That allows me to have fun and to feel rewarded. So you're literally getting neurotransmitter brain rewards, which strengthens those pathways. And that really allows you to then continue to make that choice. Because lots of times it's hard for us to make the initial choice to do something that we want to do, right? We end up saying, oh, but the house needs to be clean, or I still have a report to write, or whatever it is, right? There's that really long list no matter what. And I believe that with a combination of priority setting, and as many people in the chat mentioned, really making the time, choosing as a priority to do those things that will feel fun and fulfilling, or increasing all of those pathways. So you're more likely to do it and more likely to feel comfortable in doing that. And you have to practice. I mean, with everything, these are skills that you need to practice over and over again. So the truth is, you can't just say, oh, okay, I gardened once and okay, am I all better now? In fact, you're going to have to keep doing that and allowing yourself those opportunities.
Thanks, Christina. If we can move to slide question number 4, please, and we can put up the poll because we actually are there right now talking about this. So the attendees can actually answer this as we're chatting. I mean, really, Christina, talk about massaging the brain, side and left side. It's a balancing act, and it's what's going to make us be more productive and well-rounded in our lives. Karida, do you want to talk to this a little bit, please?
I think finding fulfillment comes from us understanding what we're performing. And when I say performing, every day we perform. We perform, we put on a mask, we put on clothes, we put on makeup, we do things that we might not want to do. And after we strip away that purpose, what is left? We have to ask, why do we do this? Why do we do this every single day? And do I feel fulfilled by doing these things? And if there is no, you have to connect to that fulfillment, that happiness, and you have to disconnect to why you keep doing these things. So I think to connect to your happiness and your fulfillment, you have to ask yourself some hard questions. And one of the easiest questions, but the hardest at the same time, that you could ask is why. You know, that little kid that used to ask, why, but why, but why? Ask yourself why every day. Ask yourself, why do I go to this job that I hate? Why do I feel sad? Why do I not feel relieved or I feel stressed out? And once you realize what some of those whys are, you can connect to making goals for yourself. For example, for myself, I knew I was at a job that I loved. I loved. However, I didn't love the fact that I couldn't move up. And so I asked, what did I love about that job? I loved the target audience that I was working with, the population. And I loved the fact that I could connect to community. So I started asking myself, how can I connect to that same audience, that same population, and use that piece that I feel fulfilled in and put it in a different area. And that's what I started to do as I transitioned into a different area of my life. And I also asked myself, what do I not like about this position? And I didn't like that I had to get up every day when I didn't feel like it. I didn't like that I had to drive and commute an hour. Um, that that added some stress into my life because I couldn't. It didn't free me up to do certain things that I wanted to do outside of work because it took me so long to get home. So what ended up happening is that I set these goals and now I work from home. I can get up when I feel like it. I can work on my island if I like. And I feel so happy. And when I go back to my old job, they're like, what are you doing? You look so happy. You look so, relieved. It's because I set those goals. I ask myself some hard questions. I ask myself why. Why am I doing this? And what do I love in doing what I'm doing? So I think that's a great start for yourself. Ask yourself why.
Love that. Love that. Can we see the results from the poll, please? I'd like to see what the attendees say about feeling fulfilled emotionally and mentally in their career. So 22% said it depends day, and 10% said absolutely, and 17% generally feel frustrated. So it's interesting. We obviously have some work to do on ourselves to find the happy spot, the fulfilled spot. Kelly, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Well, I'm a true believer that there's always fun and fulfillment and rewards that we can find throughout the day. And a lot of it is, again, turning around the negative thoughts to the positive. So as one of the panelists was talking about, not things that they didn't like about what they were doing, it's turning that around. And it's like, what do you like? So for instance, for me, I commute 2.5 hours one way every day. And do I like the commute? Absolutely not. But what I do like is the time that I have to myself. I can read a book, I can catch up on email, I can prepare for my day. Pretty much that, at least an hour and a half of that is mine. And for me to do what I need to do for myself and for the job that I'm headed into in the day. At the end of the day, same thing. It gives me 2.5 hours to kind of decompress. And so for me, when I'm thinking about how I just don't like the commute, I turn it around and say, but I do like that time that I get to myself. And, I can read my favorite book or, do those things that prepare me to get home at night. Same thing, when you're at your job is that, managing people can be difficult. It can be frustrating, but it also can be rewarding. And so when you watch for those little things that, people do that has turned around. Maybe you were the person that mentored them or coached them to do something differently, to achieve their next goal, and find pride in the fact that you were a part of their achievement. So there are little things that we can find throughout the day that we can turn into those emotionally and mentally rewards that we seek within our careers. Same thing at home. You could do it with your kids or your husband or your partner, is that find the little things, even though you get frustrated with things that they do or say, or you have to do for them or with them. Turn it around to what you get out of that, because there's something always to be achieved.
Thanks, Kelly. As we go to our final question, before we go to our VIP member question, we also put the new poll up as well. Basically, we're talking about steps to enable success. And we're really specifically looking at the next career move here in this conversation. Christina, how does one navigate themselves as they go through this career move or change so that they can enable success for themselves?
So first of all, I think it's really important to recognize that there's like no rule book that says you need to suffer, that you need to stay in a certain job, or you have to work a certain amount of hours, or that you can't have exactly what you'd love to do. And I think that's one of the things that's a mindset, as Karina mentioned earlier, that can get in our way. So we start with having a mindset that says, hey, I'm going to explore, and as Kelly just said, sort of find the good and the best in both what I do and what I want to do. And one of the best ways to do that is to really know your personal strengths and your areas of interest. If you haven't taken the VIA survey, that's the Values in Action survey, and it's through the University of Pennsylvania, and it will give you a list of 24 character strengths. And in that 24, and we all have all 24, so don't worry, you're not going to be missing one of them, but it will allow you to identify your top 5 signature strengths. And there is so much research behind this, because when you identify your top 5 signature strengths, then you can use those to help you look for and craft what your ideal next position was. Kelly mentioned a commute. I'm going to give you an example from my own life that was similar to that. So I had a commute that was a little over an hour, but I had to drive, and I was driving through a city and a lot of traffic. And initially, that was really frustrating. So I tried to make the best of it, and I started catching up on phone calls with people. After a while, people got sick of needing to talk to me for an hour a day. Like there's, only so many people I could talk to every single day. And then I switched to audiobooks, and that worked. So I was at this job for 10 years. So audiobooks worked for me for a long time. And I listened to some of the most fabulous things during that time. All sorts of wonderful things that helped me to grow and to look at things differently. I listened to Pema Chodron and Thich Nhat Hanh, and it would get me in a great mindset for doing the work. And I loved the work that I was doing. But what ended up happening as I was looking at sort of what are my strengths? What are my areas of interest? I love to teach. I love coaching. I love working with other people. What I don't love is losing those 2 hours, as educational as it was to listen to those. I didn't love losing those 2+ hours a day. And, every once in a while, because there were accidents literally every day on this highway, I was like, oh, I'm an accident waiting to happen. So I didn't want the stress that that was adding in my life. And I thought, all right, so how do I craft the life that I want that uses my strengths and talents in the best way? So I took the VIA survey again, because I've taken it more than once, and you always can if you remember your login and password, which sometimes you have to start over again. But I looked at that. I know that my strengths are in the areas of speaking with people and teaching. And so then I said, so what I had been doing for 10 years was running a pre-doctoral internship program for people who were completing their doctorate and working in community mental health services. And I switched to working in academia, where I now am, and working with graduate students. So it was a similar kind of thing. There was a thread. But what I did instead was say, hey, I want to be out talking to people. So I created time so that I could be doing speaking and doing executive coaching and really spending the time that I wanted doing what was absolutely going to be both fun and fulfilling. There was nothing wrong with my job before, but it wasn't meeting enough of my needs at that point in life. I wanted to make that choice. And you can too, as you say, figure out what are your strengths, what are your interests, and how would you best craft what your ideal position is. And don't be tricked into just like looking online or doing searches for jobs that already exist. Start by saying, what are the elements that I would most like to do? And then brainstorm and talk with other people. Hey, if I want to do this, this, and this, what are some ways in which I might be able to do that? Because there may be positions or opportunities you don't even know about.
Thanks, Christina. I know we're getting very tight on time, so I do want to get to the VIP member question time. We had Louise Jones-James from Memphis, Tennessee. Hi, Louise. I see you in the chat room. Who's a finance and operations leader. And Louise belongs to the Memphis chapter and has attended 8 e-chapters and 4 e-coaching sessions. So wonderful. Congratulations, Louise. And hopefully you'll just keep coming back. So her question today is, explain how to manage a strategy that enables you to set defined business targets for your new career goals while aligning new skill sets and business resources as part of establishing your business. Karida, let's start with you. And if you could just answer within 1 minute so I can move on to the other ladies so we can make sure we finish on time today.
Sure. I would just say to put into place a system and research. Research the information. Putting in systems is a great way to relieve some of the stress of areas that you don't know about, and to focus on the area which you do know about, so you can foster your strengths, your skills a little bit better. But systems allow for us to release some of the time that we have. It allows us to be more efficient and give us space to dedicate to the areas where we need to develop our skills a little bit more, and to push in our area of strength in there. So systems and research, definitely.
Thanks, Karida. Kelly, quickly, do you have a response to Louise's question?
Sure. My recommendation is begin with the end in mind. And so get a clear vision of what it is that you want to achieve, and then work backwards. And so, along the line of, what are the skills that you need to achieve your goal, and what the time frame it's going to take to get that accomplished, as well as what else do you need to put your business together. So there's a lot of local resources that you can tap into to identify that through your business plan, and work, like I said, work backwards to come up with what you look to achieve.
Thanks, Lee. Well, eChapter attendees, unfortunately, that's all we have time for today. Always goes by way too fast. It's important to remember that you have the skills, as the lady said. Now just take everything you've acquired over the years and put them to good use. So before we wrap up, I do want our panelists to share with us today their recommended reads. So we're going to start with Karida.
I recommend A Return to Love. This book has changed my life. I think that even if you purchase the book, it actually chooses you. So I purchased the book a while ago, and then I had to table it because it didn't really speak to me. And then at a certain time, and it spoke to me. This book really speaks to accountability, trusting your gut, being your authentic and true self, and it allows for you to start with doing self work. So that's very important. And it has one of the best quotes in it. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. So check out the book.
Thanks, sir. Kelly, you go right ahead and introduce your book choice for today.
Hi, my book choice is 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I think this is a book that can really provide a template for habit is begin with an end in mind, because that allows us to visualize where we want to go and create the life that we choose.
Thanks, Kelly. Christina, do we still have you on the line? Can we hear you, or did we lose you? Okay, well, we'll move over to Christina Hallett's book choice, and I will share it with everybody. So Christina, Sam, do you want to move the slide over, please? Christina recommends her book, Own Best Friend, 8 Steps to a Life of Purpose, Passion, and Ease, for women who are considering a change or wanting to develop or maintain a positive, fulfilling life that includes being able to have it all without guilt or shame. Christina, I introduced your book for you.
I heard. Thank you so much. And literally, this is the culmination for me of over 25 years of working with women of all ages and figuring out sort of what are both the science and the psychology and the real life examples of how we truly can, as Star said in the beginning, have it all without guilt or shame. And so it's an 8-step process. And Karita, just so you know, that quote that you used is also in my book, because it's obvious that if we take the time to be our own best friend, then anything is possible.
Well, thank you, ladies. Great choices. And thank you to Star for sharing such great advice today, and our VIP member, Louise Jones-James, for submitting a question. Remember, ladies, at each of our live-only eChapter events, our VIP members who register early have the opportunity to either win a 3-minute spotlight or submit a question. Our next live event will be October 4th at 4 p.m. Eastern. You will see now on your screen ability to register for that event, and this rerun on September 20th at 4 p.m. Eastern also. It doesn't matter if it's live or a rerun, we will always have a live chat room to expand your networking opportunities. Also, thank you to the 300 members who attended the event today. And if any of our attendees have further questions for our speakers, please feel free to reach out. Their information is on the PowerPoint, which is available for you to download now on your screen on the right side of the video pod. You will see there also some NAPW content, a blog and 2 ebooks that might be useful to you. 6 tips for writing an amazing resume and cover letter, and 6 steps to building a business plan. The resume helps with focusing on the next career move, while the biz plan helps someone who is scared of taking that next step. You will also be receiving a post e-chapter email with today's attendee list, so you can connect again on napw.com and continue to network. All NAPW e-chapters are recorded and saved on YouTube NAPW e-chapter channel for you to watch and share with your colleagues, friends, and family. Also, an FYI that we have 2 upcoming Power Networking events hosted by Star Jones and NAPW in Atlanta, September 12th, and Chicago, October 10th. The links to register will be put in the chat feed now, and we hope to see you there. If you have any questions regarding your membership, including your benefits, how to navigate the website, upgrades and renewals, or any upcoming events in person or online, please see the email listed now on the PowerPoint deck for you to reach out and have your questions answered. Finally, post-event, here are 3 things you should do to continue putting your NAPW membership to work. 1, connect with at least 3 members post-event. As I said, the attendee list is coming your way. 2, make sure you signed up for the next e-chapter or e-coaching event or power networking event. The links are right there for you to do this now. And don't forget, number 3, to take the post e-chapter survey. Your feedback is very important to us and assists us in enhancing your member experience. Thank you everyone for another great e-chapter event, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Enjoy the rest of your day.